All right. Hi, Jason. Thanks so much for doing this interview.
Hey, Allison, thanks for having me.
So tell everyone a little bit about yourself and the organization company that you run and your history with ADR.
Sure. Well, my name is Jason, and I do conflict management work. So today I'm calling myself a conflict management specialist, and because I own my own business, I can call myself whatever I want.
And
So yeah,
yeah, tell everybody a little bit about the business that you run.
so I do. I Currently, I'm working a lot with organizations and congregations, so working with churches that are in conflict, and various organizations, and doing a lot of mediation with that, and some consulting, and some different assessments, coaching, group facilitation, all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, it's so much fun, and I feel very lucky to be able to do the work that I do.
Right on. Well, how did you first get interested in dispute resolution and conflict work?
I was in the early 2000s, and I was working for an organization with developmental disabilities, and I was a program coordinator there. So they sent all the program coordinators, managers, and things like that to this conflict management course, where a mediator was facilitating the course. And up to that point, I had never heard of mediation before. So I thought, oh, I like listening to people's stories, and you can make a living doing this. This is amazing. Uh, and just kind of started going to school after that. I went to a place called Conrad Grebel University, which is affiliated with the University of Waterloo, and did all my training there, and then just kind of jumped on in.
So, as you were exploring a career in dispute resolution and you went and got further schooling and then jumped right in, what type of advice were people giving you?
Uh, I talked to a lot of mediators that were less than welcoming, and basically said, "Don't do it because it's going to be a complete waste of your time, and you're not going to don't quit your day job. You're not going to make it as a mediator. If I can't do it, nobody can."
So,
um,
how did you overcome that barrier, that type of advice?
um, uh, Part of it is I really hate people like that. So I kind of just looked at them and what they were looking to accomplish, and looking at kind of what they were doing in order to start accomplishing some of those goals, and thinking you're not even doing half of the stuff that you could do. Um, by that point, I felt like I had some axe to grind, and I was a cocky 20-something-year-old, and thought, wow, it can't be that hard.
So I'm going to do this just to spite them. I will succeed no matter what.
Yeah, I definitely used it as a bit of an edge at some points to push a little bit harder.
Yeah. Well, what would you say were, besides your drive and your determination, what else led to your success creating a career in dispute resolution as a conflict specialist?
I looked at I had a really good idea of what I wanted to do with this type of work, and I knew I wanted to work with organizations and churches, and also knew that when I was coming into this field, and I was in my early 20s, I was like, there's no organization or congregation that's going to hire me because I'm so young. And so I thought, well, I still need to get experience before I do that. So I actually went and started with family mediation, and jumped into there. And I remember talking to one of the first lawyers that I called up and said, hey, can we have a coffee and chat and stuff like that? And he had me come in, and I brought him a coffee, and he sat down, and he's like, so how old are you? Are you allowed to do this work? So that was fun, a good way to start. And but family mediation I found was a lot easier field to get into, or a lot easier niche to kind of get into. I mean, it's a younger demographic, and things like that. So from there, I kind of built on my experience from there, and then kind of slowly transitioned into businesses organizations and churches. So I still do a little bit of family, but the bulk of my work is in organizational and churches.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, your experience, sort of recognizing at a young age, nobody's going to hire you for certain types of disputes because of a lack of experience. I think rings true for a lot of folks.
Hmm.
What, from your experience, or what advice do you give others now who are thinking about starting a career in ADR?
One of the biggest things that I usually tell people is to start making connections before you're even close to ready. One of the things that absolutely benefited me far beyond anything else is while I was even starting the schooling for ADR and for mediation training, I was already starting to make different connections within the communities that I wanted to work in, and was able to, call on them 3, 4 years later, after all that schooling was done, right? And I felt prepared and ready to be able to do that. So that was the biggest thing for me. The second biggest thing for me was really defining kind of my target market and saying this is the type of people that I like to work with, and these are the type of people that allow me to do my best work. And then from there, really knowing, if this is the person that I really want to do work with, when they have a problem, they go to this person right here. And that person has a couple different people that go to them. So now I only need to maintain one relationship to get 5 to 50 other clients, instead of trying to make 50 different relationships. So being really smart about how to spend that time and where to make those connections.
No, that's really cool because I think that in doing these interviews, a theme that I'm hearing from most folks is just say yes to everything. Just do
Mhm.
anything and everything you can. And it's not that you're not saying to do that, but what you're saying is you can have a very focused approach. Know who you want to be working with, both individually and the niche. The types of disputes that you want to be doing. Make those connections early before even completing your schooling, your training, your further experience, so that you can then reconnect with those connections, those
Mhm.
folks and those organizations. Is that right?
Yeah, and I've worked with a lot of mediators. Like I've done a lot of coaching for mediators and mediators that are looking to expand their business. And one of the things they always say is, "Well, we should. The person that I really want to work with is people that have conflict." And you just kind of like look around the coffee shop that you're in. And you're like, "So all of these people are your
Everybody.
client?" How does that work? So when you start putting together any marketing materials, or when you start networking with other people, or asking, this is the type of people I want to work with, or this is the kind of work that I'm looking for, how do you possibly define what kind of people you work best with if everyone is your client? Timothy Ferriss, who wrote the 4 Hour Work Week, famously said, "If everyone is your client, then nobody is your client."
I love it. So really having that sense of focus and knowing where you want to be headed, the type, the individuals, the clientele that you want.
Yeah, and knowing really why you're doing what you're doing, right? I mean, social media, I think, is a really big thing for a lot of people. And I mean, it's been an incredible help for myself, especially. I mean, that's probably the biggest contributor to the amount of business that I've been able to bring in is social media. And it only works if you know why you're there.
Yeah.
So really understanding your why of why you're doing what you're doing is really so important, and I think there's a lot of mediators that are too afraid to even speak into that why, because we need to appeal to everyone, which I think is BS.
Yeah, right on. So yeah, so that message continues to be about focus, but I know that you have, and you're talking a lot about marketing and really having a plan and a purpose and knowing the why.
Yeah, and that's I think mediators are in the best position to do marketing, especially the mediator that's like between 50 and 65, really, because they remember what it's like to have the local butcher shop in a lot of ways. So they know what relationship-based business is, which is exactly what this whole ADR business is. It's all about word of mouth, right? so they know exactly, how that works. And I was going somewhere completely different with that, and I went on a different tangent.
No, but are you talking about then like with social media, so that you're not just on it just to have this blanket presence, but the relationships and connections that you're making, sort of as a replication of the butcher shop relationship?
Yeah, and I mean, I think, especially with social media and things like that, and I mean, I know I'm talking about social media a lot, but um, when it comes down to it, whether you're on social media or you're not, I mean, it's all relationship focused a lot of ways, right? So yeah, it's a matter of kind of hunkering down and getting to know your plants. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So mediators are really in kind of like the best position to do marketing. I mean, think about what a mediator does. They help people communicate. Think about what marketing is. Marketing is communicating to people. So, I mean, it's our job to help people think outside of the box. It's our job to help them communicate more effectively. It's our job to really bring a message from someone who can understand to someone, translate that message into to create understanding for them in different creative ways. And I mean, that's exactly what marketing is. That's what we do, right? So if we're able to kind of take some of those internal things that we're doing all the time and turn them more to the external outside of the mediation room, I think mediators are in the best place to be able to start marketing.
I love it. Yeah, taking the strengths that we've been building and practicing in our craft as mediators and applying it simply to our message and marketing. That's the first time I've ever heard anybody really providing mediators with a doable goal in marketing. I feel like we're always like, we're horrible marketers. We don't. In fact, our craft lends us to being great marketers.
Yeah, and I think the more that I look at it, and the more marketing I do with mediators, and the more coaching that I do with mediators, the more I realize just this internal ability of really good mediators that are already doing this on a day-to-day basis in the mediation room to be able to externalize that to their target market.
Well, that seems like some good advice for us to leave our interview on, but for folks to know that they've got the skills already, get out there. Let
Hmm.
people know what you're doing and have some focus as to how you're sharing that message. Thanks so much, Jason.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Allison.